Alright, here is another fan. Here is a GE, or also known as General Electric, 20-inch box fan. The model number on this is W12. Well, actually the full model number is F17W12, but these are known for their last, like, I think 3-digit model numbers. So this is the W12 model. I got this from a sale a few years ago now, and this is probably one of my best box fans I have in my collection. I mean, any old metal box fan is going to be the greatest ever made, because don't make them anymore now. This is my favorite brand of box fans, General Electric. I only have two different models. I have this one and I have a W22 model. Someday I want to continue to find more models of the GE box fans, because it's my favorite brand of box fans. I really enjoy these fans. So this, I believe, came out sometime in the 60s, maybe mid-60s perhaps. Just information I got off from information from other websites and stuff about these. I believe the earlier W12 models were green, and then they started going into these tannish colors. Yeah, this is very powerful, obviously. I mean, like I said, any metal box fan from that era is going to be powerful. During that time, if you were not able to afford air conditioning at that time, this was your air conditioner. And it really does, act like a whole house fan. You put this in a window somewhere, exhausting or something, you're going to feel a breeze throughout the house. That's just how powerful this is. These things are really no joke. The condition of this is almost perfect. It's in great condition. It's not mint, but it's pretty close to it. There are, of course, some scuffs here and there. If you look from this angle, there is some rust forming on the front grille here. But you gotta think, this is going, or if not, 60 years old by now. And the fact that it's, lasted this long without rusting any more than this, it's pretty good. Now, when I got this at the sale, I usually do a quick test run to make sure they work properly. And I went to turn this on at the sale, and it did not spin. However, I did hear a motor. I did hear the motor. So it was just basically locked up. And if you're familiar with working on General Electric box fans, they're not really easy to service. Particularly their motors are not easy to service. Like, for cleaning, they're pretty easy. I mean, it's really easy to take these off. And if the blades don't come off easy, there is a trick to take them off. Just let it run, and the shaft will warm up, and then if you get lucky, then you can slip them right off. So it's actually easy to clean, but to service the motor, like particularly oiling it, it is not easy. These were known to not be serviceable fans. These were made to be permanently lubricated, which we should all know that nothing is really permanently lubricated. Eventually the oil is going to dry up or something, and it's going to need oiling. Well, that's what was wrong with this. This proved that it was not permanently lubricated because it was locked up. So, in order to oil these motors, you can either do it the easy way or the hard way. The easy way is take the blades off and then have the motor upside down, having the shaft pointed up, and then just drip oil down there. It's not the greatest way to oil it, especially if it's locked up. It's just a quick oiling process for these. Now, if you really wanted to oil this, you have to take the motor out, and then you gotta drill a hole in the back of the motor and put oil in there, because there is an oil wick on the back of the motor. Of course, if you were to drill a hole, you gotta be careful, as I was. You don't want to go drilling out of control fast. Just go slowly at it. It does take time, but once the hole is there, then it's pretty much easy to lubricate at any time now. Never have to do it again. If you ever needed to oil it again, you can just easily oil it then. So, yeah, when you first work on these, they're not really easy. General Electric designed their motors in a unique way that there is no front bearing on these motors. It's just one bearing that's in the back. So, and of course that back bearing is not accessible for oiling. That's why you need to drill the hole in the back to oil it. So, yeah. And another thing, for some reason, I don't know why, but General Electric, when it came to their, I think particularly their metal blades, maybe some of their plastic bladed ones too, but their metal bladed ones, they were really not known to be in really good balance. They were always pretty far off, and if they ran like that for so many decades, the bearing will wear out, and if you were to run it on bad bearings, it'd be making all sorts of rattling, annoying noises, almost to the point where it's not even usable because it's so loud. This one was spared. This one, previous owner, must have been some kind of handy person, because they actually put weights in the motor hub in the back to actually balance it out. So this one was spared. This was taken care of pretty well. I actually took those weights out to see how badly it was, and it's pretty bad. The whole thing shakes all over the place. So I put those weights right back on where I took them off, and you're never going to be able to get these in perfect balance, but if you can improve it, then you're going to spare the bearing in them for many years. And oh yeah, so yeah, that's mainly the only two things about these fans were like They were not really easy to service, or their blades were not really in the greatest balance. So yeah, there's all that information. The handle on this is metal. Now, it's not a comfortable handle to be lifting up because it's not flexy, but this handle will never break off because it's a metal on metal thing. I'll show when I turn it around. So yeah, there's really little to no rust on here at all. Little specks of rust on the blade hub, a little bit on the bottom down here, but other than that, it's pretty pristine. This was pretty dirty when I got it, and when I cleaned it up, it actually came out really well. Here's the side. I think another thing that was also known to break on these, like, it was the speed knob. This is the only thing that's plastic on this thing. This one almost did break off, but the previous owner glued it somehow. You can see like little residue of like glue. So whoever took care of this fan actually took care of it pretty well. And this, as many metal box fans were, this is very heavy. I think this is about 23, 24 pounds. What's incredible is the motor itself. The motor itself in this fan is heavier than today's box fan. The whole thing, like, the motors themselves in here are heavier than a whole box fan of today. I mean, the motors themselves in here are about 10 pounds alone. That's incredible. It's just crazy of how the quality has went downhill so dramatically in just in the last 3 decades. Here's the back. I don't know if I would be able to show those weights in here. Oh yeah, they're right there. Those are the weights. I mean, it's pretty pristine in here. It's pretty clean. And it's not really rusted. Here's what I'm talking about, that handle, how that works. It's just metal on metal. That's how that works. So I can't imagine that ever breaking. So I will use the handle on these. Usually I don't use the handle on box fans because the plastic ones, they break. But I'm totally content using the handle on that because I know it would never probably break. So this video went long enough. Let's go ahead and finally start it up on low and just listen to the startup. I love the way these start up. It's so neat. Well, let's first plug it in, shall we? Here's the plug. Non-polarized plug, of course. Plug and cord is also original. Alright, low. Just sounds like a solid, great piece of a machinery starting up. And it is. this was probably one of your top of the line, more expensive box fans to get at that time. Along with, I think, Lasko at that time in the 60s. Those were probably your two most expensive. GE and Lasko at that time was probably your most expensive box fans to get at the time. Because the quality of them were so great. These metal bladed General Electric ones blew air different than the plastic bladed ones they later came out with. The metal bladed ones pushed out air from the sides, not so much in the center. But the plastic bladed ones they made, they came out air right in the center and not so much on the sides. So it's kind of interesting how that is. Just moving. These move a very good volume of air. I can just feel air circulating this whole room all over. I'm sure it would blow a whole lot more air if I had the door open. But this is very quiet. Balance is not perfect, but like I said, you're never really going to be able to get these in perfect balance. And I think the reason why, even if it's slightly out of balance, it may seem that it is really out of balance, like if it shakes a lot, it's mainly because these blades are heavy. It's a steel blade, so if it's even slightly out of balance, it's still going to shake pretty decent. So you're really never going to get these in perfect balance, but if you can improve it and spare the bearing on them, then it's going to last. The bearing's going to last for much longer. Alright, we'll go to medium. Just hear that powerful motor ramping up. Go to high. Very powerful. And it's still not even that loud. These old box fans, they always give off that distinct low frequency sound to them. I can come in a room with my eyes closed and know that, yep, that's the sound of an old box fan running. They always have that distinct low pitch frequency sound to them. Unlike the ones today, they use a very high frequency sound. It's actually nice enough to sleep with. Very pleasant sound. Alright, go ahead and turn it off. Very well lubricated now. I forgot to show the bottom of this fan. Here's the bottom of it. All 4 rubber feet are still in there. Typical scrapes and scratches and rust spots on the bottom. That's usually the most spot that these get. Usually you don't see these on here that often. It still has its original sticker on there. General Electric portable fan. F17W12. Pretty strong motor, 3 amps. Made in USA. And that's why it still works. It's because it was made in this country. There you go. GE 20-inch box fan. Model W12.